How are we, people? I hope you're all well. Big up and welcome to the channel. Welcome back as well. Trying to do something as much as I can at the moment, trying to pump out the content. Of course, everyone's waiting for that Champions League draw. I'm not going to do a live Champions League draw. There's so many people doing it. I just thought that I'd sit there, relax, watch it, and do some reaction after it, maybe this evening. So I thought it would be best to let the guys do that. There's a few shows that I'm going to be on later on. I'm going to be going over to Saeed's channel around about 7 o'clock, and then tonight we've got a show at 8 o'clock with myself and a few of the other lads. And then over on Lee Judges TV at 9 o'clock, it's going to be myself, Lee Judges, Henry Wright, and Sava talking all things Arsenal Spurs. So that's my plans for this evening, people. Make sure you do me a favour. Make sure you check out last night and yesterday's show. There was a lit one yesterday. Myself, Hassam, Tobes, Flawless, and Hugh. That was a really good show, man. Make sure you go and check that one out. Most of you have already. And yesterday, of course, last night, we had a show with D, Lawless, and Goonie, and of course, Matty and Natalie. With D and Lawless were on form as ever. So make sure you go check that one out too. We're going to talk a little bit of transfers. We're going to talk a little bit of what Arsenal need to do. And then, of course, that Champions League draw, which will be coming out around about 5 o'clock. So I'm going to finish up in time for then. Any questions you have for me, please throw them in, guys. Please make sure you do. If you want to throw in super chats, please do. They'll go to the front of the queue. Any questions you have on all things Arsenal, all things football in this transfer window, or, of course, the Champions League, please make sure that you do that. I'll answer as many as I can across this next 30 minutes. So let's start with the transfer window. We're going to start with the clubs that don't involve Arsenal, because I have to say, Spurs are the gift that keeps on giving. Literally are in the mud. It's so funny that they go out of a competition, a cup competition, that Arsenal aren't even thinking about yet. Nobody else has kicked a football in it that comes anywhere near European places, and Spurs are out. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm sorry, guys. It's funny. I don't care. Gift that keeps on giving. I've got no bother about Tottenham, if I'm honest with you. Like, I really ain't. But I must say, when they go out and they start getting mouthy and cocky, it's funny. All of a sudden, it was pretty football. Oh, and she's playing unbelievable football. We can't believe what we're seeing. It's been so poor the last few seasons. We've now finally got somebody who can play attractive football. It's going to be fun to watch. And then they get dumped out. Spurs really are in the mud. And not only that, their fans start getting absolutely gassed by Fati. And then Fati goes, do you know what? I'm going to go to Brighton instead. It's the gift that keeps on giving, people. It is the gift that keeps on giving. They're all getting excited. Get me these ballers in. I want these players. I can't believe Fati is coming to Spurs. This is unbelievable. Fabrizio Romano says, hold my beer. 2 minutes later, Brighton are pretty much announcing him. It's hilarious. And do you know what? To top it off, they're going to be spending £50 million on Brennan Johnson. I actually like Brennan Johnson. I think he's a good player, and I think he could do well there. That's a hell of a lot of money to spend on a player to replace Harry Kane with. So let's see what happens there. I've got to talk a little bit about Manchester United, who, let's be real, are in the mud also. They're in a mess. They are in an absolute mess. When the window was opened, they were going Qatari ownership, Harry Kane's coming, Osimhen bids going in. We're going to sort our spine out. We're going to have this, that, and the third. I'm sorry. It's been a shambles. They've got a centre forward who's probably going to make some form of appearance at the weekend. Finally, Martial is their backup striker. Rashford can't play up top, so it has to be pushed back up on the left. Anthony and Sancho, they can't decide which one's worse than the other. They've got midfield problems. Mason Mount don't look like he's ready to play in that midfield in that position. Now that he's out, Eriksen's gone straight back in there. Still no Amrabat in sight. They've got Luke Shaw and Varane now out. They don't know what they're doing at left back. It's mad. It's mad. Listen, will Amrabat come? Yeah, I imagine he probably will go to Man United unless he's decided against it all of a sudden. And I think he'd be a good signing. I think it sorts their midfield out. But they've got problems. They're a centre-back away from going back to Lindelof or Maguire. They're a centre-forward away from Martial playing up top again. They've got no right winger that scares anybody. They've got problems at full-back now as well. And that leads to Reguilon. Now, Reguilon actually came to Spurs and everybody hyped him up thinking he's going to be some sort of like next Ashley Cole. But actually, I always thought he was good at going forward, but never potentially that great at defending. And I think that sums up Tottenham's fullbacks over the last couple of years. They must be desperate. Manchester United, they're trying to knock on the door for Cucurella. They don't know what to do at left back now. They've got Malacia. I wouldn't bother doing anything. I mean, if Malacia is injured, then just play Dallo and Wan-Bissaka until one of them comes back, or until they both come back. Because these are pointless signings. Getting this Reguilon in, Cucurella in, Ryan Bertrand was mentioned the other day. I mean, what is happening at Man United? Johnny Evans has come and signed for Man United. Are they like going for 2010 signings, or are we in 2023? Like, honestly, Man United, I don't know what's happening there at all. It makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. So United are in the mud. I do look at it at the weekend though and think that they could put us in the mud just for the pure fact that this system we're playing don't seem convincing. But even with this system, surely we can beat a poor Man United side that's got players missing. Surely. And if we don't win, sorry, there's questions on what we're doing. Let's be real. Um, let's talk a little bit about some of the other rumours before we get into Arsenal. Of course, an ex-Arsenal player, Alex Iwobi, looks like he's on his way from Everton to Fulham. Bit of a strange one, this, if I'm honest. I would have thought that Everton would have been looking at Fulham as a rival this season around that kind of bottom half of the table. Don't see Fulham getting any further than what they got last season, which was towards a push for the top half of the table. So I imagine it will be very strange seeing him go over there. Don't really know where he fits in. I know that Iwobi can play in a few positions, and I think Fulham are looking at that as an option. Right, left, attacking mid. So fair play. Iwobi is actually, I think, still our record sale, which is mad, isn't it, really, when you think of it? So that's happening. Looks like Palhinha is leaving Fulham, though. Looks like he's going to Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich have made some very good signings. It's looking like Bayern Munich are going to be a threat for the Champions League, in my opinion, this season. Now they've got Harry Kane to add, of course, to Gnabry and Sane and Coman. And, of course, in the middle, they've got Musiala. They've also now brought in Palhinha. So I think they're going to be a threat. I think Thomas Tuchel knows what he's doing. Not being rude, it's going to be easy for them to win the league, and it should be easy for them to win the German Cup. But I do think that the Champions League, along with Real Madrid and Manchester City, I put them as that kind of level at the moment with the Champions League threat of I do not want to play them, basically. So let's see what happens there. Really good signing, though. Palhinha is a fantastic player. Really is a fantastic player. I've got a lot of time for him. Scored a great goal against us. Typical, isn't it, that he couldn't have gone before he scored the equaliser against us, but there we go. So be it. Let's talk Liverpool. Liverpool's still got a lot to do. Liverpool's still got a lot to do, man. And I look at it and think the reason that it is a lot to do is because of the amount of time they've got to do it in. Now, they only really need two positions, one centre-half, one defensive midfielder. Maybe they could possibly look at a right-back situation if Gomez isn't good enough to play there. Or is it Calvin Ramsey, the guy they've got back up? I don't know where he's gone or if he's still there. But Trent needs to be better. I think looked better at the end of last season when he was playing that kind of inverted midfield role. Maybe we'll see him go back to that. But I do think that everything else at Liverpool is sorted. Up top, they've got 5 players who can all score goals. Jota, Diaz, Salah, Gakpo, Darwin Nunez. They've got Szoboszlai and McAllister in midfield who are fine. Harvey Elliott still to come in. Bajcetic still to come in. Jones still to come in. I get it. But there's nobody there that I look at as a CDM other than this Endo guy they've brought that looks any good. So they need someone. Is it going to be Decore? Is it going to be Gravenberch? Well, Gravenberch is apparently the one they're inquiring about from Bayern Munich and actually would be a very good signing for Liverpool. But does it set the levels? Does it look at a Caicedo-Lavia situation? Would Decore be better than Gravenberch? All these questions are needing to be answered. And I think Liverpool fans have actually had enough, if I'm honest. They just want this window to slam shut, I'm sure of it, because they've just had enough. They've had a poor window in terms of them losing out on players. They've become frustrated. They've lost their heads. And I actually think Liverpool will be fine. I think I've got them finishing third. I've got no reason to change that prediction. A lot of their fans have them in second and Arsenal in third. And I think Arsenal fans have Arsenal first or second. Liverpool fans would like to think they could get first or second and have Arsenal in third. So I think they're the 3 teams at the moment people are looking at and talking about. I don't see anybody else getting close, if I'm honest, to Manchester City. But of course, this could be a crazy season. Let's talk a little bit about Chelsea, because I do think that Chelsea of late have been interested in Emil Smith-Rowe. Apparently, we've rejected that approach, and Brighton came and sniffed around it. Now, it looks like with Fati that they're not going to want to get Emil Smith-Rowe. And, of course, Cole Palmer. This is a strange one. £40 million from City to Chelsea. Now, it's strange, isn't it, that Man City are yet again strengthening a rival. But actually, are Man City strengthening rivals? Or are they just selling players they don't need to clubs around them? Because for me, they've been able to sell Zinchenko, Jesus, Sterling, and now Cole Palmer to Chelsea and Arsenal. And they don't care. They're like, you know what, we don't care. We'll give Cancelo to Bayern Munich, or he can go to Barcelona for all we care. It doesn't bother us. Wow, what a position to be in, huh? What an unbelievable position to be in. If I run down quickly what I believe has been from start to finish transfer windows as far as clubs are concerned, I think Manchester City have had the strongest. I really do. I look at what Manchester City have. They've got their backup goalkeeper, Edison's class. They know what they're doing now. They've kept Kyle Walker. They've got Walker. They've got Stones. They've got Akanji. They've got Nathan Aki. They've still got Gomez, I believe, that can play there. They've got Gvardiol now as well as Stones and Diaz that can all play there. Defensively, they're sound. In the middle, I also think they've got maybe a Rodri issue if he was to get a long-term injury. I'm not sure Kovacic can do the same role. I do think he's a good player, but he's definitely replaced Gondowan. I think Bernardo Silva staying is huge. Foden's going to have a big season. KDB's injured, but they've just brought Nunez in as well in there, so they're not like they're short. And I also think with the signings of Jeremy Doku as well, and they've still kept hold of Grealish, Haaland, and Alvarez. I'm sorry, guys. I can only see the title going to this lot. I really can. I think they've had a fantastic window. They've either replaced or upgraded on the positions they've lost. Kovacic has come in for Gundogan. Some might not think that's an upgrade, but it's not a huge drop-off. Yeah, Gundogan scores important goals. They're going to miss that, and I hope they do miss him. But I do think they'll replace it with other players. I think Mahrez is underrated of how much of a miss that will be. But I think once Doku finds his feet and Foden, who I think will have a good season, is there, I don't think they'll miss him as much as people think. And let's be real, Laporte's an unbelievable defender, but Gvardiol is probably the best in the world alongside Diaz and Saliba for me at the moment. I don't look at three young centre-halves at the moment and think there's any better than those three. So for me, two of them playing at Man City now, come on. Unbelievable for me. Unbelievable what they're doing. So that's Manchester City. I think they've had the strongest. We'll come back to ours in a minute. I don't think Chelsea are complete yet. I expect to see a madness in the next couple of days. I also think Manchester United need to strengthen in midfield and also up top. I also think that Liverpool, as we've mentioned, centre-half and defensive midfield. I think Spurs need defenders and another striker. They're looking at Brennan Johnson. They need another centre-back for me as well, at least. Newcastle, I still think their bench potentially looks like a little bit weak. Jamal Lascelles being there still, no backup goalkeeper or centre-back for me, definitely needed. I still think there's potentially a creative midfielder that could be lacking. And I also think that they might want another wide player. But other than that, I think Newcastle are pretty much there. They don't need 7 or 8 players. They need maybe 2 or 3 faces to come in. I think with the other teams around, I'm not sure that Villa or Brighton or West Ham would be disappointed with their windows whatsoever. I think Aston Villa have been pretty key. I think with the signings of Tielemans on a free, Pau Torres, looks like Longlay's going in on loan. That could be an all right option for Emery backup centre-back, although I don't really rate him. Obviously, you've got the signing of Diaby, which I'm very, very jealous of. So, yeah, Brighton, fair play, you've lost Caicedo. They've already replaced him with a 19-year-old they believe in, who's probably going to be the next Bissouma, Caicedo, or this guy. And then, of course, there's the signing of Fati, which is great, great business. West Ham, likewise, they've replaced Declan Rice with James Ward-Prowse, Alvarez, and Kudus. Very good signings. I think Mavropanos coming in could do something as well. And the PSG forward they're looking at, can't say his name, I think will be a very good window for West Ham, and they'll be very, very pleased with that. Could Lawless put us all in the mud? Could West Ham finish in the top 7, like he said? Let's see. Going to be interesting, that's for sure. Going to be interesting. Signings of the window so far, I think Declan Rice has got to be up there. I think for me, Kudus is an unbelievable signing. Diaby is a very good signing. Maddison is a very good signing for Spurs. Gvardiol is the one that I think everybody's looking at. And I think some people have actually, because of Liverpool, underestimated the signings of Szoboszlai and McAllister. I think they're 2 very good signings. It's just the fact that they just haven't quite done enough. So let's see what happens. Get your questions in, guys. We're going to do some questions. There's a couple in already that I've started, so make sure that you put them in. Make sure you do us a favour and put a Q at the start so we all know what's happening question wise, so I can really start to look at these questions. So I've got a few already. So make sure you put your questions in, guys. Put a Q at the start. Let's talk Arsenal. Our transfer window, I can't really give very high score at the moment. I think I gave it about a 6.5, and then Timber got injured. And because of that, we haven't replaced him. We're still short there. It's probably gone down to a 5.5 to a 6 at the moment. It's just a shambles. It really is. And I'll tell you why. We've bought in David Raya. I'll tell you what, let's do questions. Ash, are you worried about our squad depth? There we go. Yes, I am, and I'll tell you why. Let's go through the positions, shall we? I think personally, we are stronger in the goalkeeping position now. I think everybody knows that. It's clear to see. David Raya and Aaron Ramsdale, spot on. For me, as good as each other, may even lean towards Raya, but I do like Ramsdale. And yeah, I think for me, that will be a good enough goalkeeping options on the way there. Just answering this question from Chaitanya. No, I'm going to finish in time for that, mate, and I'm going to let everyone else do their draws, mate. So I'm not going to be able to do that, the draw. So I'm going to give it another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going to get off to watch it. So let you guys watch it as well. But we will keep up to date with that. I think at the back, Arsenal are still short. Rob Holding looks like he's going, which means that if Saliba gets injured around January, again, like he did, with Tomiyasu being out, we literally have to play Kivior there and hope that he can play at right centre-back. It's a madness, isn't it? But we're back to square one again. Now Timber's been injured and Tierney's been sold. So I still think we need another right centre-back, in my opinion. In midfield, we're still short. You cannot let go of Granit Xhaka and just replace him with Rice and think that's all okay. We have got no number 8. We have literally got no number 8 after Rice that I can see. No box-to-box number 8 anyway. We've got an attacking 8s. We've got loads of them. We haven't got anyone that can go box-to-box-to-box-to-box like Declan Rice can. Jorginho sits and holds. Partey sits and holds. El Neni sits and holds. Smith-Rowe, Havertz and Fabio Vieira all go forward. Who the hell does this going back and forward? So if Declan Rice is out, who we got? Ain't got anyone. So we're still short in midfield. Then you go into the attacking roles. I'm quite cool with that, if I'm honest. Erdegaard, Smith-Rowe, Havertz, Vieira, take your pick. Wide, on the left, spot on. Martinelli and Trossard can play there, and Smith-Rowe can too. And actually, Vieira came on and played there quite well the other night. I know he wasn't actually coming on in that position, but he took up that position quite a lot. On the right-hand side, though, we're still short. Looks like Pepe's going to get his contract mutually terminated, doesn't it? And Reece Nelson, who everyone seems to think is a right winger now, although he's not played there for Arsenal for a long time, he's been coming on the left, isn't quite good enough for me to be Saka cover. So right forward, we're lacking. And then, of course, up top, Havertz, Trossard and Eddie can all play there if Jesus is out. But do we have any faith that long-term any of them can score 10 to 15 goals consistently across a season if Jesus is out? I don't. Not for me. So we might get to a stage where we're 4 players short come the end of this window. And we're supposed to be going for a title. We could be a centre-back, a box-to-box midfielder, a right winger, and a centre forward short. Does anybody believe this window, if we would have had Maddison, Diaby, Ivan Toney coming in January, a central midfielder of Caicedo, and obviously a new centre-half coming in, which Timber is unfortunate, you'd be much more positive, because I would be. I'd have Maddison over Havertz any day. Diaby for me is better than Nelson and Pepe put together. Up top, Ivan Toney is the guy that everybody seems to want. And then, of course, you've got at centre-back, I don't know what's happening there now. There's potentially rumours of a couple, but I've not really heard of them. Per Schurz from Torino is one that I heard yesterday. Anybody know that guy? He's a Dutch centre-half. He's about 6'3". Don't know much about him, but he's the one that we've been linked with. Are Arsenal going to do any business? I mean, they need to, but are we going to? Let's see. Questions. Ross says, why would we let Tierney go when it looks like we aren't signing a replacement? 6 defenders to cover the whole defence is a shambles. I do worry about it. Do you know, it's mad because when we signed Timber and we had Tierney, I thought there's 8 defenders there that can cover. You got your 2 left backs in Zinchenko and Tierney, your 2 right backs in Ben White and Tomiyasu, and you've got Timber there. You've got Ben White and Saliba at right centre-back, and then at left centre-back, you've got Gabriel and Kivior. We're sorted. Then we got rid of Tierney, and Timber got injured, and we're short again now. It's like, come on, what's happening here? So I agree with you, Ross. It's crazy. Let's go to Footy Chats, who says, big up Dan in the chat. What do you rate this window, Dan, for Arsenal? I can't lie, I'm giving it a 4. I feel like our squad's more lighter than last season. We ain't stronger than last season, that's for sure. I think maybe a 4 people might think is harsh, but if you combine the incomings and the outgoings, I ain't going to give it more than a 5.5 to 6, if I'm honest with you, because we've only covered some positions again. It's like last season when we signed Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus, and everybody went, that's a 9 out of 10. And I thought, hang on a minute, we've got 4 positions still to cover. And then when Vieira came in, everyone went, oh, this is nearly touching a 10, even though no one knew who Vieira was. For me, we need so much more. So much more. I can't sit there and lie to you and say that we're fine now. We're not. We still need more. Ash, big up Ash West, says, I'm really worried about the lack of transfer rumours. We're going to be missing Partey and Tomiyasu in January, which is something I brought up the other day, which no one's spoken about. When Thomas Partey and Tomiyasu are out for 3-4 weeks in January, what happens? If Saliba gets injured in January, who plays right centre-back and right-back for us? Ben White and Kiwior? What happens? It's mad. What happens if Partey misses? We've got Jorginho, and then we've got Declan Rice, we've got Havertz. Everybody just shouts names at you. Do we think they're strong enough, though? It's fair enough saying if Saka's out for the season, it's all right, we've got Reece Nelson. Is that a title? Is that a title-winning winger? Is Eddie Nketiah going to win Arsenal a title if Jesus is out? Because at the moment, we're not worried about what United and Liverpool and all those guys are doing. We're worried about what Man City are doing. And if Haaland's out, they've got Alvarez. If this Doku guy can't make it, it doesn't matter. Foden's there or Bernardo Silva's there. On the right, left-hand side, you've got Bernardo Silva or Foden. Grealish to add to that as well. Everybody gets injured at City, it's fine. We've got this guy. And they're all at a good level. The only player at Manchester City, I say, is a huge drop-off is the goalkeeper and Rodri. That'd be about it. Everyone else has got someone coming in that's as good. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. So I'm with you, Ash. Let's take this one as well, which says, which players do you think will leave by Friday? Cedric, Holding, Tavares, who's gone, Lokonga, Pepe, who I think we'll probably get rid of. Those 5. They're the ones for me. They're the ones for me. I don't think we'll see any more than that going, but I could be wrong. Mick Darcy says, what's your second worst signing to Kai Havertz? Well, listen, I'm not going to say Kai Havertz is the worst signing that we've had. I think with 3 games, it's incredibly harsh. But I have seen him over pre-season in these 3 games, and I'm questioning why people are bigging this up because I can't see what he's doing that's so fantastic. I think he looks like he's a player that could cause some issues and a bit of a nuisance. But really, he's a player that should be coming on, not starting for me. And I think that when you get players moulded into the side, it's a lot easier than just throwing them in and just seeing what happens. At the moment, he ain't been moulded in. He's been thrown in the deep end, and it ain't working, that's for sure. So I hope he ain't playing again. I can't lie. I really would be frustrated to see it. If this is, honestly, if this system is here to stay, I'm not going to be happy, guys. I can't even lie to you. I really, really can't lie to you. Going to take the last few questions before we finish up this Champions League draw is upon us. Ben Guna Stab says, where are we finishing in the league and the cups? Oh dear, Ben, I don't know. Okay, let's start with the league. Second. I'm just going to stay with second. I just think Man City are too strong. And I think they've actually got no weaker. So I'm going to go Manchester City. In the cups, I don't think that Arteta has shown me any evidence that he's going to play a strong team in either the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. So for the smaller rounds, I think we'll mix it up. And that's why I think we'll get caught out again. Only takes a Villa away or Brentford away, like I've seen, the Carabao Cup. We could quite easily lose to Brentford away. So I don't see us winning the Carabao Cup. Not because of that draw, just because I don't think we'll play a strong enough side. I don't look at the squad and think it's good enough to be rotating in all 4 competitions yet. So I do think we're going to be trophyless. I think we'll get caught out in the Champions League to a team around the quarterfinals, maybe last 16 quarterfinals, depending on the draw. And depending on the FA Cup draw, if we can avoid City, we might get to the final, but we'll see, depending on what other competitions we're in. That's what I think, man. Is that a good enough season? Well, there's context, isn't there? Arteta needs to win something. But it doesn't mean that if he doesn't win something, we sack him. If we get to a final of a Champions League and we take City to the last game of the season and we sack him, it's incredibly harsh. But if we go out to teams such as Hull in the Carabao Cup, Huddersfield in the FA Cup, Club Bruges in the Champions League, and then we come 4th, where are we going? And we really are on that. And if he does stay, because we've got Champions League and it doesn't matter, all it matters is Champions League, I'm going to be asking the Cronkies what's happening. That's the way I see it. I'm sorry. Mark, big up, Mark. Hope you're well. Says, listening to your rundown on other teams' transfer winners, do you think ours has been poor in comparison? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure it's been poor in comparison. I think it's been poor, Mark, but I'm not so sure that it's been poor in comparison to City's. It's been poor. I'd say Villa. It's been poor in comparison to them. That's probably about it, though. Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea just buying everyone, aren't they? It's been good in comparison to Liverpool and Manchester United's because I think we've covered more positions than them. I know Timber's been injured. But yeah, it's a poor one, isn't it? It is a poor one. I'm sorry. Everyone was saying 250 million, 235 million Arsenal spent. Wow. I mean, we haven't really massively improved, have we? So let's see what happens. Last question of the day is from Lee Farrell. Lee, big up yourself, man. Says, if Gabriel doesn't play this weekend, Potsy, do you think Arteta thinks Saliba and White are better ball-playing defenders than White? That's why they're both starting together. Yeah, that's the only reason I can think, bro. It's the only reason I can think. Because if he doesn't get sold by tomorrow and he doesn't play again, he's here to stay. But where does he fit in the side? I don't think we will go back to that old system. I just think he's going to try and make this work. But we need to. The team, everybody knows it needs to be Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus or Eddie if Jesus isn't 100% fit. That's the team for me. That's the team. Whether you think that's the right team, the wrong team, you can mess around. You can have Trossard up there if you want. I would like to see Trossard, but I think if you're looking at fairness, he was so poor the other day. Eddie scoring again. I think he's probably going to go with Eddie. But I can honestly see this team being exactly the same as it was against Fulham. Ramsdale, I think it will be Partey right back, White, Saliba, and Tomiyasu coming back into it because Zinchenko can't play centre back. And then I think it will be Rice, Odegaard, Havertz, Eddie, Saka, Martinelli. That's what I think it will be. So we're going to have to see, man. We're going to have to see. It's going to be a madness, to be honest. That's all from me, folks. I know it's a quick one today, but I know everyone wants to go watch the Champions League draw, which I was going to do live, but I'm not going to because everybody's watching it on other streams and loads of people are doing it. If you want to go over to watch it on any of the big Premier League influencers channels, then please make sure that you do that. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I want to say two things. I want you to smash a like on this video. I want you to subscribe to the channel. We are literally 200 and something away from 12K. It only feels like yesterday that we got 11K. It's amazing to try and get to 12K this quick. It's just so humbling. And I literally appreciate all of you guys so much, man. I can't stress enough how much I love all of you guys for supporting the content and for supporting me as a person. So thank you so much. And lastly, do me a favor. This weekend, if you like a bet, just check it out. Bread and Honey Bets. I cannot stress enough to you how good these are. This is not a sponsorship deal for me. This is not me getting anything out of it other than the money I'm winning from these people. I want you guys to win money like I am at the moment because this is not even me trying. I'm literally paying on the Patreon and they show me what bets they do. They share their bets and I'm winning every week. I've had 6 weeks so far, or this is my 7th week. I've missed out once. So, guys, please get involved with Bread and Honey Bets. Go to the link in the description, click on it. It's £10 a month. £10 is nothing. You'll treble that money in your first week, right? Or whatever you put money on, or wise on it. All they do is show you their bets they're doing. 6 weeks running, only 1 week's let me down. 5 weeks up. Guys, you've got to get involved. I swear to God, you've got to. Check it out in the description. Always up the Arsenal. Take it easy, people. Yes, people, listen up. Do you want an easy way to make money? Check out Bread and Honey Bets now. With an incredible win ratio, do not miss this chance. This is highly recommended by myself after a very successful win ratio. With betting tips from professionals on your favourite sports such as boxing, MMA, Formula 1 and football. Check it out for yourself for only £10 a month with guaranteed return on investment. Check out Bread and Honey Bets now on the Patreon or follow the link in the description. Check it out, people.